Oh, it's been years since I've seen Aladdin. That's the last time I rummage around in my neighbor's basement while they're on vacation. Well, now I just want to watch something that sounds exactly like what it's going to be. And also a thirst watch. How about Girl on a Motorcycle? And the award for the most literal movie title of all time goes to Girl on a Motorcycle from 1968, an erotic drama film starring Marianne Faithfull, yes buddy, and directed by Jack Cardiff, also co-starring Alain Delon as her side guy, even though it should be me. Most of the film is comprised of Marianne Faithfull riding up and down the French and German countrysides in search of a plot. We are more or less watching in real time Faithfull's character, Rebecca, wake up from a sadomasochistic dream in which she's being whipped in a circus ring. I don't remember this scene from Rolling Stones' Rock and Roll Circus. To her slipping into a skin-tight riding leather outfit, oh my, just to travel all the way across the country for, you guessed it, some dick. Started to realize that most of the movie was going to be her riding to one location and was going to include non-linear storytelling and lots of flashbacks and dream sequences and lots of narration. I knew we were in for a bumpy ride. It goes a little something like this. Minute number 5. I can't wait to bone my lover Daniel. Poor Raymond, my husband, he's such a wimp. Minute number 15. Yup, still can't wait for some of that Daniel dick, but that Raymond, I shouldn't feel sorry for him because he's such a wimp. Minute number 25. Daniel. Stupid Raymond, what a douche. One thing that does make this film historically significant is that it's the first film, as far as I know, to receive an X rating from the MPAA. The movie comes in the wake of the early to mid-60s biker movies, although this one has much more of an auteur director style and a distinctly European sensibility in terms of its lackadaisical storytelling and pacing. It's also based on a French book called The Motorcycle, which is not particularly well remembered, but it's also based on an Edgar Allan Poe story. Well, after this movie, Marianne Faithfull would be the star of a movie, Nevermore. The sexual politics of this movie are something we've seen many times. There's the asshole, dominant male character who has complete autonomy over the subordinate, beautiful woman that he doesn't deserve. Daniel, the character who's a lover, is a professor who doesn't believe in marriage. Oh, I do hope we get a tedious scene where he bemoans his students about how he doesn't believe in marriage, while at the same time, Marianne's giving it the good college try of shacking up with her normie husband who she doesn't really respect, and we have to kind of just take her word for it that he's lame. But she also wants to just enjoy free sex with no hang-ups. And of course, the movie punishes her for it. Okay, so at one point, Loverboy Daniel gifts Marianne with a new motorcycle, and her husband Raymond seems to be okay with this, so she gets on the motorcycle and rides off, happy and contented. And so her father goes, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that, Raymond. She's gone now." So the motorcycle represents freedom and autonomy, but also, Lord help us, a woman enjoying something that's traditionally more thought to be masculine. Is this actually a pro-marriage movie? Was this written by a congressman from Utah? One of the things working in the film's favor are the trippy psychedelic sequences with Technicolor obscuring the visuals, especially during sex scenes, some of which are actually kind of uncomfortable and unnerving, especially with the minimal proto-industrial percussion backdrop. There's also lots of little nuggets that are enjoyable, like when she's having an internal monologue and then just yells at this random man on the street, "Bastard!" and he goes, "What?" That's the thing with this movie. There's interesting parts to it, but unfortunately it doesn't really add up to much, and the ending is very underwhelming. I really wish the movie explored more of the relationship between her and authoritative men, especially the lover, after he makes it clear that he's only using her as a sex object, but she keeps coming back to him anyway. There's also weird little inconsistencies in the movies that I notice, like, for instance, early on, she has to gas up her motorcycle, but she doesn't have any money in her skin-tight leather suit. So she says to the clerk, "Oh, whatever, bill it to my husband Raymond. Have I mentioned he sucks?" But later on, she's in the bar knocking back glass after glass of vodka or whatever, and then she slams down a coin. I mean, it doesn't make sense she wouldn't have had an internal dialogue where she said, "Oh, I forgot to bring money." Sort of like how anytime there's a faraway shot, it's clearly some dude in a blonde wig, because this movie was made in an era where you had to go to the movies to watch the movie, and they weren't anticipating that decades later people would have the 4K upgrade from Kino Lorber, and you could pause the screen on your big at-home TV. But still, the very obvious video backdrop, anytime there's a close-up of Marianne Faithfull riding on the motorcycle, is pretty distracting at first, although I guess the longer it goes on, it starts to take on this dreamlike quality. I'll say I like, for the most part, how this movie was shot. There's a certain hypnotizing quality to it, although that's kind of lost when there are sequences where it's just like several minutes at a time of shot after shot of her just riding. Mostly, though, it kind of just loses me in this never-ending barrage of voiceover narration, and it's not as if the movie wasn't written with those narrations in mind, because, you know, you can see so many of those scenes Marianne Faithfull is acting in anticipation of narration eventually being put over it, but then there's other scenes where the ADR is just so noticeably sloppy. This is a great candidate for a movie that I wanted to like a lot more than I did. The poster and the trailer make it look a lot cooler than it ended up being. You know, it's Marianne Faithfull in a leather suit riding around on a motorcycle. How cool is that? But this movie was just so unforgivably repetitive. I mean, for starters, we probably see that same shot of Marianne smiling like a crazy person like at least 5 times. I was hoping maybe we would explore more of her character having a split personality, one that's sexually liberated and having this affair, and the other one where she's faithful to her husband, or just give her more autonomy without judging her for it. I don't know, maybe there just wasn't that much there. But at the very least, it's great to see Marianne Faithfull immortalized at the top of her game, at the height of her beauty. I would say skip this one, unless you want to see Marianne Faithfull in a leather... Alright, actually this movie's awesome, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna go watch it again. Well, stay sexy.